BlizzCon is over, and we have got loads of awesome information on Overwatch 2. But what does this mean for Overwatch until Overwatch 2 is launched? And be aware, we have no launch date, we have no beta date, we have no idea when Overwatch 2 is coming out. But what we do know for sure is that we have been told all development is focused on Overwatch 2, not Overwatch 1. So what's going to happen to people still playing Overwatch 1 right now and people making content and all of that stuff until Overwatch 2 comes out? Well, let's discuss this in the video. We were shown a hell of a lot of stuff at BlizzCon for Overwatch 2. Talents, PvE story missions, the direction they want to take the game, changes to PvP, a passive role system, loads of stuff, right? This is really good stuff. We've seen tons of maps, we've seen snippets of lore, in-game cinematics, loads of stuff they showed us. But I can't help but feel this is just it's almost like an ensemble of what they're capable of doing now that they've got the systems in place to do it. So it's almost an admission, if you will, of them going, hey, this is what we've got and this is what we can make. Now we're going to start making this stuff and we're going to start putting it together. One of the interesting things for me is to reference Jeff from the IGN interview, and we will actually go back to this a number of times through this interview, is Jeff said he wasn't very happy with the communication back in 2019, the fact that they didn't actually communicate to the audience, to the fans, to the players, this Overwatch 2 is a pure sequel. It is a new game. Instead, what they showed us looked like DLC. It looked like the Archives event plus. Everybody at BlizzCon at the time, I was there at the time, we were all saying the same thing. I'm sure the developers got a little bit down on that and maybe they went back to the drawing board. They also referenced that they looked at other types of feedback and decided to put something maybe a bit more robust together. Now, this is completely pure speculation here, but maybe they decided that they needed to make more content and then they went away and made more content and then they've showed that off to us, or at least showed us the types of content they can make and that they're going to add to Overwatch 2 in the recent BlizzCon. Of course, we'll never really know for sure. They could come out and say, no, this was always our intention. We always had all of this stuff to show you back in 2019, but we didn't put it together right. But you can look at this argument from both sides. You can say, well, okay, but you could say you didn't have any stuff to actually show us, and what you showed us was just a crazy vertical slice that was designed purely for BlizzCon, which gave the impression that actually this is much further along than we thought in terms of development, when really it wasn't, and loads of extra stuff still needed work. So there's a lot of issues there with communication. And I think this is an interesting point to discuss here, the actual communication from the development team to the audience, to the community. And I'm not just talking about content creators and streamers, I'm talking about everybody involved. Look at this from the perspective of a Overwatch fan. You play Overwatch, you enjoy the game, let's say 2 years ago. What has actually changed in Overwatch over 2 years? That's substantial. Now, I know the developers will defend this completely and go, well, we've given you 50, 60, 70, 100 balance updates. We've given you loads of new events, but actually they're just the same events, but we've changed them in a little minute way, but we've given you new skins. Everyone likes skins, right? Yeah, they do. And take that from a YouTuber. People do like skins because they're literally the most watched bloody videos out there for Overwatch at the moment. So they do give us stuff, but it's little bits of stuff. And the issue has always been, is that enough to keep people playing Overwatch? Now, when we look around at the wider Overwatch community as much as we can, we do not have access to these statistics that Blizzard have got. We do not know how many people are playing Overwatch right now. We don't know how many people come back when a new event is out. We don't know any of these stats, right? We don't know how many people play when there's a free weekend, for example. But what we can do is look around on YouTube. We can look around at streams. We can see numbers declining. Now, that means to us, people are taking less interest in Overwatch as time goes on, which is natural, right? Nobody's going to play the same game forever and forever and forever and forever. Here's the thing, though. If major content was added to that game, they would keep playing that game forever and ever and ever and ever. You see where I'm going with this? Now, there are games which are, can we even call them old games? I don't think we can. Use Counter-Strike as an example. What really changes in CSGO? They don't add new weapons. Everybody, there's no heroes or agents in the game. You're just all the same character with a different skin. That's it, right? That doesn't get changed. The game is the game, and that's how it's played. It's monetized and it's adapted and changed in different ways. You have the missions that they have and all of that stuff. The operations, I think they call them. That's fine. Overwatch, though, I think lives and dies by its new hero additions. We know that Aaron Keller actually said this on stage back in 2019, and I'm sure all the devs would agree with this, and all you guys would agree with this. I agree with this. The heroes are what make Overwatch a game. Now, if you stop hero production, that's a problem. If you don't add new meaty content to the game, that becomes a problem. You start seeing people going, Overwatch is a dead game. It's a dead game. Blah, 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 blah. It actually kind of is. I'm going to straight up say that. It actually is. I don't care what people are saying back to me going, oh, well, Sty, no, there's a bunch of updates for Overwatch. There's this and that. Come on, let's be real. I think when we start looking through what has gone on in the last few years, let's go from 2019 to now with Overwatch 2. We're at BlizzCon. We get shown a vertical slice of the Rio mission. The map looks complete. It plays quite complete. I didn't really notice any major issues. There probably was tons of bugs. We only played it on the show floor. There's probably loads of stuff that still needed to be finished. But it looked like, okay, this is a fairly short mission. It was difficult on the hardest difficulty. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of, you had to have really good synergy with your ultimates to actually win, and your abilities as well. But that looked to us like, okay, it's a better archive mission. So how many of these are they going to give us? Are they going to give us 10 of these and go into an expansion? Yeah, we're going to get talents. Yeah, we're going to get hero missions. Okay, they showed us a weather system. Maybe we'll use this, maybe we won't. All this kind of stuff. There wasn't really too much like meat to it when you look through the actual presentation that they gave us. But they're telling us we're making Overwatch 2. So from 2019, right, now it's frigging mental to me to even be talking like this, because it's years. This is years of time, right? If we go back to 2018 and we go through 2018, okay, we get heroes, we get maps, we get events, which are always the same events with minor changes but new skins. Okay, and we get the mini sort of story events, the challenge missions that we get. Fine, right? But there's still large gaps where there isn't really too much going on. Then 2019, BlizzCon hits. They say Overwatch 2. Okay, cool. That's why we didn't have a lot of content in 2018 and 2017. And I'm pretty sure, I'm sure devs would take offense to me sitting here going, hey, there wasn't a lot of content. Because they're thinking, well, what there was? There's not really, though, is there? Let's be real, right? So we move forward to 2019. We get told about Overwatch 2. So we sit back in our chairs and we're like, okay, cool. So this is what you've been doing with all your time. You've been doing loads of development on Overwatch 2, and it's going to launch the next year. It's going to be awesome, right? That's what we're thinking. Nobody confirms this. There's no release date. Jeff says we're not going to talk about it for a year. So this gets us thinking. And be aware of this, guys, right? They know what they're saying. They know if they say certain things, it will cause certain reactions within the community, which they can then use. Yeah, right? This is full tinfoil hat mode. But they know if they say, we're not going to talk about it until the next BlizzCon, what they're saying there is, look, Overwatch 2 is going to have a massive showcase at the 2020 BlizzCon, right? Obviously, we know there wasn't 2020, but that's what we're thinking, right? There's going to be a massive showcase. There's probably going to be a beta sometime in like maybe May or something like that leading up to this. It's going to be awesome. Then we get none of that. And the mental thing, the absolutely crazy thing to me is they never at any point came out in 2020 and said, yeah, we're not really that far along with development, or yeah, there's going to be no launch this year, or they said nothing. So when I go back and I look through the videos that I've made and all the other YouTubers out there and watch what streamers have been saying and looking at community on Reddit, everybody's perplexed. They're like, what is going on? Why didn't they tell us? So this makes you more sort of pissed off because you're like, well, where's the content? What's going on? Then, of course, a global pandemic hits. This is a problem for everybody, right? Let's be real. Our lives have been completely upturned. I mean, hell, I literally I have been under lockdown for months and months and months because in England I'm classed as clinically extremely vulnerable, which sounds extreme, I guess, but it just means the type of medication that I take means that if I got corona, it'd probably be a lot worse for me, so I've got to be really careful. That's fine, I'm doing my part. I wear masks, I keep myself to myself. I've always done that kind of stuff. It's fine. But I got a letter today telling me that, hey, you need to stay indoors until March the 31st. Don't go leaving the house still, which is, these are big things. They're life-changing things. Anyway, a pandemic comes in. It hits the game. It hits all games. It hits everything. It hits the world, right? The planet gets smashed with this. Blizzard, though, say, hey, it doesn't really matter. We adapted well to working from home. It's all good. So we're thinking, well, okay, fine, cool. Then they push BlizzCon back to February. And then they start saying, well, they don't actually say anything, but we just know that they were going to talk about Overwatch 2 come the next BlizzCon because that's what they said at the previous one. Fine. Then we get BlizzCon. And there were some little, I guess, minor leaks up until BlizzCon hit us over the weekend, which would have been things like, this isn't even a leak. This is the Activision Blizzard earnings call where they tell investors, people who've invested a ton of money, have owned thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands of shares in the company, and say, hey, We're not going to launch Overwatch 2 this year. So, yeah. We're having to learn from an earnings call what's going on with the game. That is terrible communication with the community of the game. It's mind-bogglingly bad. It is so bad. Anyway, BlizzCon happens, right? I loved it. I'm going to be honest, I loved it because the thought of Overwatch 2 is incredible to me. It's PvE. I've always wanted PvE. I think and this is another thing as well. I think it will pull in a whole new audience for the game. And right now, what could Blizzard do to get people into Overwatch, to get new players playing the game, buying the game? It's give them a new game. It's not give them new heroes. It's not give them new game modes. Again, it's mind-boggling to me that we went, well, since the launch of Overwatch, with no new competitive PvP mode or core gameplay mode, whatever they call it. You know, you've got Hybrid, you've got Assault, and all those modes. They've got Push for Overwatch 2. Push should have been in Overwatch years ago. You know, like, what is going on? Why can't they see that? You know, it would have been a good thing. Anyway, let's go back to the financial issue. So, you launch a new hero. What's that going to do? Well, that's going to probably bring people back to the game who are currently playing the game, who maybe have played it and have, you know, they're a lapsed account. So they played it a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a few months ago, and they're like, oh, there's a new healer. So, hey, I'm a support character. I play supports. I'm going to go and check that out. That's fine. But that's players coming back. That isn't a new person going, oh my God, look at that character. It looks amazing. I've just seen some marketing for Sigma. Oh, I need to buy Overwatch. I'm sure that has happened, but not as much as, oh my God, that's Overwatch 2. It's got PvE. It's got story missions. It's got progression. It's got new cosmetics. It's got whatever the hell going on. That brings you back, right? That's like, oh my God. So from a purely financial perspective, I am almost certain this is the reason why we have not been given content for Overwatch, because it doesn't make money, right? Now, I think this is slightly mental because you have got a massive user base of players. And like, this is slightly ranty as well. You know, nothing stops me from just going, I've had enough of this. I'm just going to stop making videos, right? I could just do that. But I like Overwatch. That's why I make videos, right? I could just do that and go, whatever. I don't care. I'm out of here. Goodbye. Good day. Right? I'm just going to go and do whatever I like now. Who cares? But I like this game and I like making content on it. You go back to 2017, your videos would be getting 300, 250,000 views every video. That was a highly engaged audience. Like, it was an awesome audience. And it wasn't just me. Loads of YouTubers were getting massive figures on it, right? Now, figures are not everything, but what they show you is interest in the game. At that point, you've got to be thinking to yourself, okay, we need to ramp up production. We need more game modes. We need more heroes. You need to keep them engaged. But they didn't. And it's just crazy to me to think about it this way. It's like, no, they did less, effectively. And you're like, all right. So they were clearly working on Overwatch 2 or trying to put Overwatch 2 together or do something. But they let it go on for too long. And now we're in a situation where you look at videos on, even if you go and look at the Play Overwatch channel, the behind-the-scenes video for Overwatch 2 has got something like 350,000 views on it as of recording of this video. The video for Winter Wonderland has got over 400,000. That's the official channel, and that's their recycled event has got more views on it than their bloody behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2. I think that tells you a lot, right? People, they don't care about Overwatch 2 at the moment. They want it, and sure, we want to know about it, and we want development updates. And I think it's good that Jeff has said in the IGN interview that, yeah, sure, we are going to try and be more communicative. I will read these quotes off in a second, because it's all right me just ad-libbing them, but I want to go to this IGN article and read it off. But I think I need to make a lot of these points before we did that. So yeah, this idea of managing expectations. What does that mean for us realistically as players of the game based off what we've seen? Well, I think what it means is that if we look at this year, we will see no content to Overwatch. Remember, there was no mention of Overwatch in any of this stuff. It was all Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 is effectively a reboot of Overwatch. What I mean by that is they're upgrading the graphics, the models, they're adding new systems. They're just basically upgrading every single area of the game and adding loads of stuff to it. It's going to be a much better game. I've got no illusion. It will be a way better game than what Overwatch is, right? It's going to be incredible. But the issue we've got is we've got no beta date. And I think there's a quote from that IGN article we can use. There is no release date. So where do we go from here? Now, this is really bad community management, because what we're looking at here is you have got a base of creators, and not just YouTubers and streamers, but obviously I can talk from that perspective, but everybody else playing the game. and you're not really servicing them. You're just letting it bleed away. But here's the thing, right? It doesn't matter to Blizzard. It really doesn't matter to Blizzard to do that. They don't care what YouTubers are doing. They don't care what streamers are doing. They don't care what the community is doing as such. Because they know when they launch Overwatch 2, it will all just come back. So why bother? Why bother putting effort into the current game when it is declining, based off every metric I can see, when you can bump it back up with a new launch and off you go. And it all will be forgiven and forgotten. And I'm sure it will be, right? But my issue is, what do we do until then, right? Like, what do we do? All right, let's go and take a look at some of the stuff on IGN. So I'm going to bring you guys over to my desktop. Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is this entire section. Now, if you watched the video I put on the channel yesterday, I did talk about this. I just had a slight heart attack, so I thought, I'm actually recording this. I am. That's good. I do that a lot. Like, I'll start a video and I'm not actually recording it. Pretty bad. All right, then. So let's take a look at this. So it says, IGN asked Jeff, I guess, oh my God, why is it highlighted everything? IGN say, I guess that perception comes down partly to the fact that there is a connection with the original Overwatch here. It wasn't mentioned too much in this panel, but I assume that connection is still the plan for PvP. Overwatch and Overwatch 2 will still be connected. So Jeff says this. We feel like it's super important to keep the community together. That's one of our biggest goals. It's so odd to me because if we were to rewind to BlizzCon 2019 and I was to just say, hey, we're making Overwatch 2, it's a sequel, we're going to have all of this amazing PvE content, story missions, hero missions, and all new PvP maps. We're going to add new heroes. We're going to change how a bunch of PvP works. See you later. Overwatch 1 people, hope you buy Overwatch 2. The weirdest part is that everybody would just go, oh yeah, they're making a sequel. Yeah, because you would have said at that point, we're making a sequel. Because what happened in 2019 is you said, we're making a sequel, but it's just story missions. At least that's what it looked like, with very basic talents that honestly look pretty basic. And it's like, well, there's not much replayability here. What the hell, right? That's the problem. That it's not a community problem. That's a problem of them talking to the community. And this just seems to be a problem that they have over and over again. It's crazy. All right, then, let's go on to this, because this is the bit that interests me. So it says, but the second you go, let's try to be a bit cooler about what we want to do with the community. We actually get destroyed by that very community. It's something I hope in some ways influences people to think about how they want to be treated as a community. Maybe there are some ways that things can be done better, cooler, both from the game company's standpoint, but also from the community standpoint. Because the reaction we got was very much like, no, treat us like we've always been treated before. And it's like, well, that this behavior is going to... That quote is insane to me, because that is saying, like, hang on a minute, that reaction happened because of the quality of the announcement in 2019. You see where I'm going with this? That's not the community going crazy, saying, oh, just give me a normal sequel, just get rid of Overwatch and give me Overwatch 2. It's the community in limbo. It's the community going, hold up, when's Overwatch 2 coming out? What is this? Is it just the archives event? All these questions, and they're not, wasn't really answered. Where's the progression, guys? There was no answer to the progression at that time. It's like, well, we're working on it. We're going to see. There still ain't really any answer to the progression. I mean, okay, they showed us much better talent trees, which looked amazing this weekend, which is exactly what we want to see. But at that time, it was like, hold up, what's going on? So can you see what I'm saying here, guys? This is a communication issue. Not from us, not from the community, but from what Blizzard is saying about their game. Weird stuff. Really weird. All right, I want to go to the final quote here, I think, which is, this section here. Because this is what I do like. Because this is them, I hope, saying like, hey, we're going to actually sort out our communication in some respects. All right, let's do this. So, IGN say, obviously, the timeline is off the table at the moment, but is there a sense of when people might hear more about Overwatch 2 after this? Jeff Kaplan says, yeah, our main goal is very different now. When we announced Overwatch 2, we were very explicit with the audience. I don't know if everybody remembered this, but we literally said we're going dark, and we said we're going dark to talk, we'll talk about it next BlizzCon. I think part of what happened was the pandemic situation, the fact that there wasn't a BlizzCon in November 2020, and things got kind of pushed off until February. But we were very explicit, like, hey, we're not talking after this BlizzCon. We just need to focus on the game. Our strategy for after BlizzCon Line in February is to be more communicative. I don't know if I can officially commit to monthly updates on Overwatch 2, but we definitely want to be more communicative. And our plan is not to go dark for an extended period of time. In fact, we were discussing as recently as yesterday the opportunity of there maybe being some cool stuff we can talk about in March or April to keep people updated and to keep people going, right? That's the key thing there, right? Keep people going. They know. They absolutely know. They have to talk about this game more because it's very front and center in our mind to communicate more. And now this is good stuff, right? This is what we want to hear, right? Now this isn't Jeff saying I'm going to do this every month. He's going to try and do it. He's going to try and give us bits of information. But this gives us a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel here. It means that, hey, there might be things to talk about. We might get to see snippets of Overwatch 2. We might get to see maybe they do like a deep dive on the talent system, or then I don't know, they show off oh, this is a new map we've built and this is how it plays. Or, can you guys imagine how cool it would be if they, I don't know, somehow made it possible for us to jump into an early version of Overwatch at some point, of Overwatch 2, of a map. I mean, I don't think they would ever do that because Blizzard want to show you a finished product, but you can kind of see where I'm going with this type of stuff, right? Just all based on more communication, keeping that community engaged and giving them reasons to get excited about the game and not just letting them stagnate, which I think has been a massive issue with Overwatch's management throughout the entire launch of the game. And then finally he says this: we also want to be careful. I think there's a right time to get the audience hyped and build to launch. And there's also a time where it's hey, that was kind of not cool because it was too early and we're not ready to have this yet. So I think we want to be very transparent with people. I'm really glad that the discussion happened of, hey, don't expect Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4 this year. Because I think that helps set people's expectations. This could have been done before the earnings call. This could have been done a long time ago. They could have, but the decision, sometimes I get the impression with Blizzard that they make a decision and they will not go back on that decision. If it's some decisions they will go back on, but decisions that are we're not going to talk about Overwatch 2 until the next BlizzCon in 2019. But then a global pandemic hit. That, I think, is a pretty good excuse to go, well, let's just talk a little bit about Overwatch 2 and then maybe manage the expectations better, right? And say, hey, it's not going to come out this year because of this, this, and this. I mean, they could have straight up just said, there's been a pandemic, so yeah, everything's going to take us a bit longer. I don't think anyone would have been oh, that's a problem. Instead, there's nothing, no communication, and then there's a bit of again, it's not a leak, this is from an earnings call from Activision Blizzard, but you get where I'm going with this, right, guys? Anyway, Jeff goes on, because I think this helps set people's expectations. So, if we do say something in March or April, they're not oh my God, that means we're in beta by May and then release in June. It's no, it's out there that this is not happening. So, let's get all of that expectations aligned. But we definitely want to be more communicative and transparent with the development of Overwatch 2 as we get into the closing out of the game. All right. Cool. So, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that came out of BlizzCon, right? Let's be real. All of the Overwatch 2 stuff, you guys have probably seen my reaction to the video. It looked great, right? There's loads of good stuff there. It's not coming out this year, but we are going to get some updates throughout the year on the game. That's cool. No mention of Overwatch 1. We're not going to get heroes in Overwatch 1 unless they go back on that decision. But why would they? Because they're not going to make any money off it based off, my speculation earlier in the video. At least that's the way I'm thinking right now. I want new heroes because it reinvigorates the game, reinvigorates the player base we've got. But it doesn't achieve the goal of what a sequel is designed to do, and that is increase the player base. That is, get new players who have never played Overwatch before. We've all played Overwatch, right? If you haven't played Overwatch, it is an incredibly daunting game to get in now. It's similar to me going away now and going, you know what? I'm going to go and play Dota 2. Now, that game is incredibly complicated. Or League of Legends, right? There's how many characters in this game? I don't know what I'm doing, right? It would be terrible. Although the funny thing is, I've actually got about 800 hours, I think, in Dota 2, and I still don't know what I'm doing. But you see what I'm saying, right? It's a very daunting game to get into. But if it's new, if it's fresh, if it's Overwatch 2, then suddenly it isn't, right? Ooh, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, though, because I think it's been more of a real and frank take as to what's been going on. And what I believe as somebody who's made thousands of videos on this game. I'm not saying what I believe is true or right, or what Blizzard are doing is good or right. Who cares, right? I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. But I think the fact is, strap yourself in for pretty minimal stuff coming to Overwatch. I'm sure they'll still do challenge missions. I'm sure they'll still do seasonal events with new skins. And I'm sure, we'll still get balance updates and whatnot coming through to the game. But don't expect anything major. All right, guys, I've been started. Well, unless things change, maybe things will change. Who knows? All right, guys, I've been Stylosa. Thank you for watching the video. And big shout out to everyone who is a member of the channel. If you do click the join button below, you can directly support me and it helps a ton. You get loads of emotes of my stupid face. You get like, you actually get badges which change based on how long you've been I want to say subscriber, but that's Twitch. That's the old streamer and me going a bit Twitch there. Being a member of the channel next to your name when you comment and all that stuff. But there's actually some good emotes on my face there, so go and check it out. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video, and I will catch you lovely lot on the next one. Toodaloo.